An MSNBC correspondent, Dasha Burns, says John Fetterman is still suffering from what's called auditory issues after his stroke. You got to listen to this. Roll it.
We had a monitor set up so that he could read my questions because he still has lingering auditory processing issues as a result of the stroke. You'll hear he also still has some problems, some challenges with speech. Just in some of the small talk prior to the interview, before the closed captioning was up and running, it did seem that he had a hard time understanding our conversations.
Kellyanne Conway joins me now. Kellyanne, his health, I think, should be a big concern for voters, but in the polls, it's a dead heat. What's going on?
It is a big concern for voters, and it ought to be. He's not transparent about his medical records. And look, if you're not bothered by John Fetterman's obvious unfitness for this job, United States Senate, which takes a great deal of focus and energy, then you ought to be upset that he's lied about it. He was off the campaign trail for months. He obviously has so much to hide. And the people both excusing his conduct in this interview and attacking the reporter, Stuart, because she works for MSNBC and NBC News, they presume she should be helping John Fetterman. She should be trying to elect Democrats. That's not her job. She's one of the few mainstream media reporters out there doing her job. Between her and a CBS reporter, Ed O'Keefe, last night on Twitter, calling out John Fetterman, saying, hey, Pennsylvania, doesn't this trouble you? He got attacked. Another Hispanic reporter said, hey, Ed, you're Hispanic. You need to do better, especially since it's been a rough week for us. I think he's referring to the racist comments by L.A. council members in California. Listen, their job is not to get Dr. Oz, it's to get the story. And the story here is the complete lack of transparency, hypocrisy, and outright lying of John Fetterman. Now, if his health doesn't bother you, and it should, his record certainly should disqualify him. Stuart, here's a guy who has the #2 across Pennsylvania, lieutenant governor, missed about 33% of all of the required meetings that he had as presiding member over the state Senate.
Yeah.
He never really missed a pardon board's meeting, though. He was always there for that, to make sure that criminals got back in the street. John Fetterman is pro-criminal, anti-fracking in energy-rich Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
His salary this year as lieutenant governor is triple that of the average household. He has a private security detail, and he is being cosseted away. When he debates Oz, we'll see the real deal. And he does have something growing out the back of his neck. I think people ought to know what that is. And Stuart, last point, all these armchair psychologists who don't have medical degrees diagnosing Donald Trump from afar. This reporter was in the room with John Fetterman. She was interviewing him, and she's telling us all what she witnessed, which is this guy could not process information. He's staring at a computer to get to just answer basic questions about himself.
I just don't see how the polls are the way they are. We just put it on the screen, we just put it up, that Fetterman is actually leading Dr. Oz. And the record,
I don't believe that.
46 to 42.
I don't believe that. I have it. Stuart, I don't believe it for this reason.
Wait a second.
And by the way, if it's 46-42, Oz will win.
That was September the 22nd to September the 30th. That's ancient. We should get that off the screen.
Yeah.
I've seen polls where it's now a dead heat. And that's what I don't understand. Here's the guy, he's anti-fracking
Stuart,
in a state which lives on fracking, for heaven's sake. He's got a health problem. Heaven knows what else. I don't get it. I don't get this.
So, Stuart, I have an op-ed being posted on foxnews.com in the next 2 or 3 hours, and it talks about the problem with the polls. And you will see in that op-ed, I'll preview a little bit for you, in 2020, 5 Senate races were all wrong for Republicans. Joni Ernst in Iowa, Steve Daines in Montana, Tom Tillis in North Carolina. Susan Collins never had a single public poll showing her winning. She won by 9 points. Lindsey Graham won by 10 points. These weren't squeakers, but the polls showed them losing or not winning as handily as they did. I think in all of these states, Stuart, you're going to continue to see both the Republican and Democrat candidates within a few points of each other and under 50%. That's bad news for the Democrats, because they need to be well above 50%. Republicans are enthusiastic to turn out, largely because of what you just said. People know we're in a recession. It doesn't matter what Joe Biden lies about. People know energy independence is gone. They know they feel insecure, unsafe, and life is unaffordable.
All right, Kellyanne, I'm out of time, but that was a very good explanation of the polls. I will read that op-ed. Thank you very much. See you later, Kellyanne.